47,568 rand on consulting fees. What was that for? It's just there, a line item, consulting fees. Now the homework is being done, Chairperson. This is what happens when you study inside of the lecture. Proceed. Nagana.
Now we understand the challenges that NSA have.
That's why there's a problem. And I'm going to finish it with my last point. Proceed. I want an answer.
Honourable members, Honourable Chair, I don't think this is fair.
Liam Jacobs. Liam Jacobs is emerging as one of South Africa's most promising young political leaders. Born and raised in Kimberley, Northern Cape, Jacobs rose through the ranks of student leadership to become a national figure, advocating for transparency, accountability, and youth empowerment. A graduate of the University of Pretoria, Jacobs served as the federal leader of the Democratic Alliance Student Organization, DASO, where he led initiatives centered on student rights and constitutional integrity. His leadership in DASO helped him develop a reputation as a bold and principled voice, unafraid to challenge institutions when they fail the public. At just 23 years old, Jacobs was elected as a member of Parliament for the Democratic Alliance in 2024, representing Gauteng province. He also served as chairperson of Parliament's Portfolio Committee on Health, where he pushed for stronger protections for whistleblowers and greater oversight of public health procurement, especially in the wake of the Babita Deokaran assassination. Jacobs' rise is defined not just by his titles, but by his relentless questioning of power and his refusal to accept the status quo. Whether it's leading human rights complaints against government service failures or calling out corruption in healthcare, he represents a fresh wave of leadership, one that gives hope to South Africa's youth and signals the urgent need for a corruption cleanse in government.
The brake light doesn't know if it's a hazard.
So now the department is going to show us exactly what 247.3 million rand over a very long period of time looks like. Don't know if I see 247.3 million yet. It looks like R2.50 so far. As Brad just said, there's no substantial deterioration. I'm not an engineer, but that definitely looks like rust to me. Hallo moenie speel nie man. Hallo speel. You see, no substantial deterioration. And they make you walk the plank. I was just told there's a pond with artwork here. I don't see a pond. I also don't see artwork. So this is 4-year-old temporary fencing. It's permanent temporary fencing, yeah. Must walk over here to get to over there. You know, one thing the center is doing is keeping me grounded. If I were to show you this, randomly I were to show you that, you wouldn't be able to tell me off the bat that that is meant to be a highly dignified gravesite for an icon of the history of Khoi people in this country. You wouldn't say that, and I think that speaks to the deeper indignity and insulting nature that has surrounded the telling of stories from this particular community. Dit maak seer en is baie verkeerd. Ons mense kort dignity. Day number 1, you know what it is. This is the type of roads we get on the way there. There's so much road inside of the potholes. 10 mil.
Yeah, 10 mil. Ek is familiar met die een.
10 million rand, 8 years. That's a full 10 million. A full 10 million.
In the Kumbi that we were driving, that the biggest.
That's a woodwork masterclass.
So it is upon you.
It's a 10 million rand center that comes with a sunroof. Damn. More of the same. More of the same. Or should I say more of the same? The roof of that place is wood, but this one is steel. The roof is also being stolen, so it's also steel, I guess. Then we also have Windows Pro Max. As you can see, they are both see-through and go-through. Papa Penny, this isn't the right stage.
No, this is for the cows.
How do we feel about this place, Papa Penny?
This place is not well, it's not good. They were building for the cows, not for the people.
This is exactly how not to use a bathroom. And this is what the rest of it looks like. You literally have a felt in the back. You all saw the state of the roads. You saw the fact that grass is uncut. You saw the felt that I just showed you. And you saw the state of the recreational center. This is what corruption does. This is a place where Home Affairs and SASSA could have come to do satellites where they give the community their IDs, or they help them in getting their IDs, or they help them in getting grants. But no, this is what the center turns into. This is what corruption does to the lives of normal South Africans. It started in 2016. It's cost 10.4 million rand, and today there's nothing to show for it. I lied, there's actually something to show for it. Bullshit. Day number 3. Here we go. So I'm at a facility that's going to cost about 16 million rand when it's complete, and that has already cost you 8.8 million rand.
Indicate who you are, your
Chicken.
chanting.
And something that's very interesting to look at is the tape. The tape says EMS. I don't see anything to do with the hospital here. This is not a hospital. If you move further on a very rusty and dilapidated pavilion, the tape changes. And you find that there's older tape. So why is a construction company using EMS tape? I just spoke to somebody who actually works here, and they said that that tape that you just looked at was only put up yesterday. Which should tell you something. Window dressing. I don't like window dressing, especially when it comes to taxpayer money. And if you look nicely on the pitch, you'll see weeds that look about 4 months old. And they are being removed now. And I'm showing you this to show you that when you have to go and visit the departments, when you have to go visit where taxpayers' money is going, it's very easy for them to do window dressing. But they always say what happens in the dark finds a way to shine. And some of them did so much things that when you see, you might go blind. It's your money. It's taxpayers' money that goes into things like this. They're saying that the first phase will be complete by April the 30th, and they'll complete the rest shortly after. Do you believe it? Because myself, as I'm sitting here, I would like to see it with my own 2 eyes. Day number 3, and we have real hazards. Hallelujah. Hey, I'm gonna have fun today. Today we're looking at the 32 million rand sporting facility that they say is 90% completion. 90%.
People from Pretoria. We have 16 strikes. The local people.
90%. I'm on the soccer field now, and it feels like I'm gonna play soccer with speed bumps. I just said speed bumps and a pothole. They just said the sprinklers are here. Are the sprinklers in the room with us? I don't think so. I mean, it looks drier than my jokes. Nah, athletics. Hey. Okay, at least that's getting somewhere, Shay. I take back what I said. If that's going to be basketball, tennis, and volleyball, where are their changing rooms? Where? Because then the only changing rooms are going to be all the way over on this side. And you say they're incomplete also?
Yeah, incomplete.
Hey, do you think we can play soccer on this field?
Never in our entire life.
Papa Penny, do you think we can play rugby on this field? The grass is looking grayer than your grandfather's hair. Yeah, so that's it. They say they're going to complete it by May altogether. Me personally, I don't believe it. People are still shooting firecrackers and all sorts of stuff in January. May is not make sure. I don't think it's going to be completed, and I'm going to follow this thing up. Honorable Chairperson, the Portfolio Committee on Sports, Arts and Culture's oversight visit to the Eastern Cape was marked by shock, heartbreak and horror. We witnessed the complete misuse and disappearance of state funds along with the abandonment of critical public infrastructure. My speech, therefore, reads more like a eulogy than it does anything else. We visited the Sarah Baartman Center for Remembrance in Hanki, meant to honor the legacy of Sarah Baartman, a Khoi woman who comes from the Gamtoos Valley, who was brutally robbed of her dignity and exploited in European freak shows. Upon arrival, we were met with the misspelling of her name at the entrance. And I want to say that if they could fumble her name at the entrance, logic would dictate that they would fumble the money as well. And the site itself was riddled with shoddy workmanship, dilapidation, and complete dereliction. And to our horror, Sarah Bartman's gravesite had been tampered with. Speaker, I want to paint the picture of what 243.7 million rand of taxpayer money had been used for. It went to contractors and consultants who ran into cash flow problems and could not get the job done. Contractors and consultants who did not even hire security from Hanki itself. Contractors and consultants who have yet to be held accountable. Speaker, 243.7 million rand is the equivalent of 950 RDP houses. It is also the equivalent of 70 kilometers of tarred road. And it is also the equivalent of giving every single house in Hanki solar power. This Center of Remembrance had the opportunity to bring meaningful economic growth to the residents of Hanki. But the local tourism and construction sectors would have also grown massively if it weren't for misuse and mismanagement on such a large scale. Honorable Chairperson, we must think of the bread we could have put on the table of the residents of Hanki. We must think of how bringing more economic growth to this town would have brought economic activity and jobs to the town. Because behind every single job is a face. And behind every single face is a family. And behind every single family is a community. And if we could change the reality of the community of Hanki, we could bring jobs to the community of Hanki through the completion of this center. I see that in your financial statements, you paid 773,530 Rand in 2024 and 2,154,547 Rand in 2023 on what is called consulting and professional fees. Can I please get clarity on what that is, what it means, and what you paid it for? I do it interpellation style, so I want the answer.
Okay. No, thanks, Honourable Member. The acting CFO would, if you could just zoom to that specific transaction and give an account of what it is for.
Okay, thank you, Honourable.
I think the mic is a bit far.
Is it far? Okay.
Yeah, there we go.
So that's consulting fees.
Consulting and professional fees, yes.
Yeah. Okay. So the reason why there's an increase from the previous year, which is 2022-23, to the year under review, is that there was a boxing awards event which took place in Durban in the 2024 financial year. So there were a lot of consulting work that was appointed, which made an increase to this value,
Okay,
to this amount.
So what I'm gathering is that you spent about 8% of your budget. Your budget is about, or your grants is about 20 to 26 million around there. You spent 8% of that on an award ceremony. Is that correct?
That's correct, yes.
You spent 8% on an award ceremony. Okay? I just want that on record, because I think that when boxers themselves and their coaches look at an 8% that was spent on an award ceremony versus millions that could have gone towards, and it is millions, if I added up 2.1 million plus 770,000 is about 2.8 million. If I add that up, that is 2.8 million that went towards professional and consulting fees. Right? Now, you said it's for an award ceremony. Is that an award ceremony that took place over 2 years? Because
No.
I see 2023 and 2024.
No, it happened in July of 2023. That's why it falls within the 2023-24 financial year.
Okay, then what is the 2.1 million?
2.1 million.
Yes, in 2023.
It's all consulting fees. The
Yes.
majority of it relates to the BSA awards.
The majority of it. What's the rest of it?
What goes in there is also consulting within BSA, if there's any.
So you pay yourself to
consulting
consult
work.
yourself?
Well, we sometimes need professional, experience or
Don't you have that professional experience yourself? What for?
I am not sure, sir.
You don't know?
It's different consulting jobs which were appointed during the that financial year.
So you don't know what those consulting jobs are? What I want to clarify is that I'm not going to be asking you questions nicely. I'm going to be asking you questions and I want responses immediately. So please be ready to respond. And I don't want political answers. I don't want answers where you are explaining and giving examples. I want yes, no, I want factuals, I want full stops. That's what I want. So I'm going to start with Netball World Cup. I want to know, did board members get funding from the Netball World Cup?
No.
You didn't? Okay. Now, you heard me talking about money, and I'm very clear on what I want to know. I want to touch on a lot of things here, and the first thing I want to touch on is that your financials reflect 41,041 Rand across 2 years for NSA condolences. What is that? Is there anyone to respond to me on finances here? I expect the CEO to be able to respond on finances.
Honorable Member, I have to check the document that you're talking about.
You can't check a document. You can't come to a portfolio committee that represents the people of South Africa and say you must check a document. You are a CEO and you are supposed to know what is inside of your document. So please explain to me and the 250 South Africans watching now and the hundreds of thousands that are going to watch, what is NSA condolences? You spent 41,000, you ought to know.
The only thing I can remember at the top of my mind is the players that were netball players that died. That's what I remember at the top of my mind.
You spent 41,000. What did you use it for?
Honorable Member, with due respect, can I get back to get the details, because this is not for this financial year.
No, you are correct. It's not for this financial year. It's for the 2024-2023 financial year. At the financial years that ended in 2023 and 2024.
Exactly, Honorable Member. I was employed in October 2023 and I wanted to be given an opportunity to go and check, and I will report back.
So you didn't do your homework before the portfolio committee? You present us a report, you don't do your homework on the report. What must can happen? Yes?
I did my homework.
Now you don't know what the 41,041 Rand was for.
Can I humbly request that I go and check those details, Honorable Jacobs?
You cannot humbly request that you go and check details. It doesn't matter how you change the wording of your request. I want the answer now.
I don't have the answer now.
So you don't have the answer?
Yes.
Thank you very much. This 53,091 Rand was spent to a line item called correctional services. What was that for? And what is your name, CEO? I want the South Africans to just hear your name and surname.
My name is Mudiegi Komani.
Yaleboa.
My name is Mami Diale. The money for correctional service, what happens is, as and when Department of Correctional Services has a championship, they request support from Netball South Africa. And with that support, Netball South Africa will invoice them in terms of selectors, in terms of umpires and all that.
Thank you very much.
So they will pay that money.
That's fine. Then I want to know, you paid 119,217 Rand for a social media influencer. Why and who was it? And what was the results of it?
This is that was part of the 2023 Netball World Cup, and
Nope, it was 2024. It ended in that financial year.
Say that again.
The statement ends for the 31st of March 2024. So who was the social media influencer? What did they do? How much did they cost? And what was the person? What was the outcomes?